Personalisation in the rewards for me would have to be just seeing the difference in people's lives.
Oh, good morning. My name's Ellie. I'm calling from Social Services.
It's no longer about what we can do for them, it's about how we fit into their world, which is a bit of a change if you're used to the old system.
You know, the old style of working where you're going out and you're meeting that person once and really, you know, fixing the situation, is now I'm getting a relationship with that person, which is what I think social work is all about.
Here at the Personal Budgets team in Hull, they're now putting personalisation into practice day to day. But we're finding out how the team overcame the challenges of such a significant culture change and transformed the working practices of their frontline staff.
For some staff, they've seen it very much as a kind of top-down, government management kind of led. And actually, personalisation is very much, it has to be grown and it has to be nurtured in frontline delivery.
Wendy Curry has worked in Hull care management for 14 years, but with the introduction of personalisation, the day-to-day working lives of frontline staff like Wendy went through a major transformation.
Personalisation, when it first came in, it was a big shift for social workers. I'm used to working with the community care assessments, really quick assessments, a bit like quick fix, and sometimes it was like, you know, fitting a round peg into a square hole, and you know, it's difficult.
Many social workers say this is getting back to the heart of why they came into social work in the first place. So for many, this is a really good opportunity to do what they've always wanted to do, and for it to be less about filling in paperwork, less about inputting data on computers. For other people, it's a bigger challenge, a shift from being the person who has a certain amount of degree of control over the process to really sharing power and empowering the person to be completely at the centre.
I think my role as a social worker, some of my fears around personalisation first centred on how could we fit in with people's lives. If it's self-directed, where do we come in as a social worker?
People have got into certain ways of practice. So people are comfortable, and it's been a challenge. It's been a real challenge for people to actually kind of dismantle their values and the way they've been practising, and to actually start to refocus on those core social work values. And not just people, again, just ticking boxes, just making it a bureaucratic process, actually making it real for people. And that has to come from practitioners.
Wendy's on her way to catch up with the Evans family, who she's been working with for some time.
I've been working with them for about 2 years now, and it took a long time to persuade them to have some support.
Carl Evans is part of a close-knit family who have a set of multiple needs. While Wendy has been working with various members of the family, her particular focus with Carl, who has severe learning disabilities, was to help him address his lack of social stimulation.
Carl lived with his brother, Christopher, who also has a learning disability, and his mum, June, and I met his carer, was his sister, April.
It was pretty hard, really, because, I mean, I'm a carer to him, like, 24 hours a day. Well, I'd actually do everything, and they'd never seen a social worker up to 18 months ago. We never had him involved. I mean, Carl's 57, but as I say, if it hadn't been for Wendy getting involved, and me not being so stubborn.
She was worried about Carl. Carl was really quite withdrawn, just wanted to be with his mum all the time. He didn't want to go out if mum wouldn't go out, and by this time his mum, June, was starting to get really tired, no motivation to go out or do anything. And so as a consequence of that, Carl's life was not very fulfilling, I would say. So you like going out then, Carl? Yeah.
With personalisation, Wendy's focus was to get to know Carl in depth, and through the process of support planning, he revealed he had an interest in gardening.
It enabled me to work in a different way with Carl and with April, and it was really to sort of sit back and let them talk more about their lives and what was more important to them, rather than going in and solving the problem for them.
It's worked out well because they do get out and about. I mean, they've actually got a life now.
With his personal budget, Carl chose to employ personal assistant Tracy Asquith, who was able to help him pursue his interest.
These cherry tomatoes. What are these flowers over here?
This gave Carl some independence and his mother and sister a vital break.
So I managed to get in a personal budget to have some social stimulation, time out away from mum, to develop some independence for the future, really.
Is that ready for picking?
Yeah.
And he goes to Myersbeck, which is a gardening project, which he really loves gardening. It's just so rewarding. I couldn't have done that under the old system. You're looking at meeting, the basic needs, making sure somebody's washed and dressed and they've got proper nutrition and, and maybe social stimulation you would put into a degree. But those little finer things, what you and I would take for granted, to be able to just go out independently, it's just so easy for us. But for Carl, he wasn't able to do that. For me, as a worker, was just so touching, and it was just really, really lovely piece of work.
It's not enough just to say, be person-centred, keep the person at centre. Most of us need some ways to do that. So in Hull, the first thing that they did was give everybody that fundamental training around person-centred thinking tools that they can use in their role. The group developed best practice statements, and I think some of these really are great examples of some of the changes that we're talking about in personalisation. So the very first one is that we help you to create a support plan that's individual to you.
Listen to your client, take stock, take time to listen to your client. What do they need? What do they want?
We also perhaps look at families and friends or people involved in their lives. From their perspective, what's working and not working.
This approach is very much about building on people's own capacities to reach their own solutions and to problem solve themselves.
Think about your person-centred thinking when you did your qualifications all that time ago. Think back to them, because it's a really positive move in that direction.
Seeing people as individuals and treating them with respect and not making assumptions about who they are or what they might want to do based on labels or lifestyles or anything.
How did it make you feel? All right. I think the training helped you to sort of take a step back and allow that person time to express their needs. It's a longer process and you're taking it step by step.
What could the future be like? Well, I think social workers who are passionate about delivering person-centred services for people and really listening to people and problem solving with people will be really enjoying their jobs and getting a lot of satisfaction out of seeing the changes that they're making alongside everybody else.